The sun's coming up, my drink is gone, but now it's time for our first cup. Today, the end of men, part 2. We're wrapping up November, and that means we're wrapping up Men's Health and Mental Health Awareness Month. Before we go too much farther though, small point of housekeeping. Just said November is Men's Health and Mental Health Awareness Month, but isn't June Men's Health and Mental Health Awareness Month? The answer to both of these questions is yes. It just depends where you are in the world. Given that men are facing a lot of challenges, I'm just going to take both months. That said, what did we talk about this month to be aware of men's health and mental health? Well, 3 things. First off, listening to men. Second off, explaining yourself. And third, the importance of hope and will. Now, listening to men. This was a very interesting November for a lot of reasons, politically, socially, and otherwise. But I think one thing that is absolutely clear is that our capacity to listen to men about what they're facing needs a lot of work. And I'm not excluding myself from that equation either. A lot of times the easiest way to figure out what's going on with people is to ask them. Ask, don't assume. You know, it's like all of our parents taught us. What happens when you assume? It makes an ass of you and me. And to be honest, we need to be showing less of our asses when we're dealing with men, when we're assuming what they're going through. We're thinking about how to address those issues. And that all begins with one very important tool: listening to them. Still can't get that White Dudes for Harris ad out of my head. It is, Now, beyond listening, there's another part. Like, listening only invites one direction of dialogue. There needs to be 2. And on the other part, once it's your time to talk, you need to be able to explain yourself. And not just explain yourself in a way that assumes that the other person knows what you're talking about, or assumes that they can understand your experience if you are a man trying to talk about anything that you're facing. And to be honest, sometimes explaining yourself means taking a pause, thinking about what you're going to say, because the reality is a lot of this stuff can be very hard to articulate. Something else that's shown up to me this month, time and again, is how the language for what men are facing, the rhetoric for what men are facing, is so severely underdeveloped compared to so many other groups of people, especially here in the United States. If that means that sometimes we have to be slower, it means we have to fumble around, if it means we have to be imperfect, so be it. That work needs to get done in order to get to the point where we can, both individually and as a group, articulate our needs, our challenges, and potential remedies. All of those conversations need to be started. But in order for them to be started, we have to be able to explain ourselves. And I know those conversations are going to be hard, which is why the last part of all of this is having hope and will together. You know, I am a pretty optimistic person, generally speaking. I am I'm kind of a blue sky guy. a lot of the time. That doesn't mean that I'm not a realist about things, but I'm always looking up and looking for the best parts of what's going on. But all of that hope, all that optimism, I've learned one very important thing, is that it's not so much about relying on others to bring that hope out, to bring that hope forward. It's about realizing what you can do to make those futures happen. Sometimes that's going to be personally, sometimes that's going to be professionally, it might be artistically, it might be in your community. But I found that hope is best when it's backed by will, not just seeing what could be, but putting in effort to get there. And I know that it's easy, especially for men in the United States, to think that will is the only thing that they need to carry them through. And in fact, will can carry you far in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, but will by itself is insufficient, because a lot of times when will is left unchecked, the places that it carries you to, the benefits that it gives you, they're not necessarily moral. They're not necessarily good, even if it might feel like it's good for yourself. It might not be good for everybody else. It might not even be good for you in the long term. Hell, I was reading the other day, a 12-year-old kid minted a new kind of cryptocurrency, a new shitcoin, and rug pulled his own currency. He inflated the value and then cashed out his portion of the coin that he created to make $30,000. A 12-year-old kid, 12-year-old did this rug pull. And as a result, a lot of other people online ended up inflating his coin even more, causing him to lose out on a lot of profit he could have gotten. Of course, these people who were making this profit, they were ripping off other investors, but they don't talk about that. And oh yeah, that 12-year-old kid, because he did the rug pull, he also got death threats, and people threatened to kidnap his dog. Will can get you a lot of places. But hope, and that kind of hope that I was talking about, the looking forward, seeing the best in things, not only for yourself but for the world, will needs that in order to do the right thing. Hope and will together. We've got a long way to go to get the needs of men addressed in this country and globally in the way that they deserve. But this November, I genuinely feel like things are changing. I've seen it happen locally, I've seen it happen nationally, and I've seen it happen in myself. I've seen it happen in others. Yes, it is a long road. Yes, there are going to be a lot of hurdles. But yes, these issues are worth addressing for each and every one of us. I guess what I'm saying is that hold fast. This is the beginning. It's not the end of men. Please remember, no matter what you've heard or what I've said, death comes for us all. Closed mouth never gets fed. Take care of yourselves. We'll speak again soon.